Yo guys, so it's been a little over 2 months since I dropped my review on the iPhone 11 Pro Max. It is crazy how fast time has gone by. With that though, I want to talk about everything that I like, the things that I still don't like, what's new, what's changed, and really just how the overall experience has been. Before we do that though, let's check out a quick word from today's sponsor, Aris. So if you want a phone that takes advantage of Wi-Fi 6, this is the world's first true tri-band Wi-Fi 6 mesh system. This comes in 2 flavors, and specifically this is the Aris Surfboard Max Pro Mesh Wi-Fi system, which gives you coverage up to 6,000 square feet. What it comes down to, I think sometimes people forget about routers and Wi-Fi systems, but if you're paying for gigabit speeds and you're not using a Wi-Fi 6 system, you're not taking advantage of what you're paying for. More and more shows and movies are streaming in 4K, more and more devices and connections are popping up throughout your house. So what this does is helps ensure not only the fastest possible speeds, but the most amount of coverage as well. So if you want to upgrade, learn more, I'll drop a link down below. And again, big thanks to Aris for sponsoring this portion of the video. So iPhone 11 Pro, and this year, I decided to go all out and go iPhone 11 Pro Max. Last year, I happily used an iPhone XR, which was amazing, and I think the iPhone 11 is an even better value this year, but for me, there were ultimately 2 things that pushed me over the edge. Surprisingly, reason number 1 is not the display, and don't get me wrong, it is an incredibly beautiful display, but what I was most curious to check out with this phone is battery life, and it is not disappointed. This year, we've seen Apple continue to do un-Apple-like things, and I think the 11 Pro and Pro Max kind of kickstarted that with them being thicker, heavier, and in turn, packing bigger batteries inside. Last year, things really didn't line up. The iPhone XR, which was the budget phone, had the best battery life out of the 3 phones Apple offered. This year though, things have returned to normal. You would think the iPhone 11 Pro Max being the highest end option would equate to the most amount of battery life, and it does. iOS 13 has been full of bugs and not perfect by any means, but in terms of software optimization plus bigger battery capacity, the end result has been ridiculous. If you own an iPhone 11 Pro Max, drop a comment down below with the battery life you've seen, but for me, it's really resulted in charging this thing every other day. So that's all day, through the night, into the next morning, which is something you've never seen before with an iPhone. One of the best examples I can showcase in terms of battery life was a little over a month ago. There was a Luke concert, so I used my phone to record video at the show. This was after a full day of normal use, and I essentially recorded the entire set in 4K, had enough battery to do that, and then watched that entire set back on the way back home, which is mind-blowing. It's one thing to browse Safari or Twitter or listen to music, that is all cool, but for me, because I use the camera so much, having that reliability gives you an extra peace of mind. Also worth noting, this was completely handheld, literally just my hands. So the stabilization has continued to impress me. Also what surprised me here was the microphone quality. No surprise, concerts are really loud, so the fact that it could capture everything in stereo without clipping or distorting is really impressive. So battery life, that's a wrap. That is the #1 reason why I use the iPhone 11 Pro Max, but not gonna lie, I have thoroughly enjoyed that display. 2 months later, the name is equally as ridiculous, Super Retina Xdr, and what that translates to in non-Apple talk is they're packing really great HDR technology inside this phone. This packs a peak brightness of 1200 nits, and pro tip, turn auto brightness off for the full all-out HDR experience. Warning though, it is bright as hell. That though, combined with spatial audio and Dolby Atmos support, results in a surprisingly good HDR experience on your freaking phone. Now back when my review initially dropped, one thing I had hoped to see was the ability to control frame rates within the iOS camera app specifically for video. That was updated literally like a week later, so thank you Tim or whoever is in charge of that. But one of my other big complaints is something that unfortunately could not be updated through software, and again, that is the lack of USB 3 through Lightning. USB-C is one thing, I've accepted that, I can live without USB-C, but again, I use this phone to shoot a lot of 4K video to the point where it's replaced point and shoots. I've uploaded entire videos shot on this phone. So when you're trying to upload 30, 40, 50 gigs of footage through USB 2, that's a painful experience. Yes, you can airdrop that footage, but you're going to lose quality. So really, the only true way to get full quality video is to either upload it to the cloud, which takes a long time, or transfer it through a cable. So for me, that has been one of my only complaints so far. The other thing that drove me crazy, along with I'm sure every single one of you out there, is that you could not trim a video and then save it as a new clip for who knows why. Fortunately, that was just updated and fixed, so the ability to trim and save a new clip is back. I'm just not sure why it was gone in the first place. I've talked a lot about video with the iPhone 11 Pro Max, but the photography side has been equally as fun. I don't use the telephoto lens that much, but the ultra wide lens has been my go-to. It definitely does suffer in low light situations, so I would love to see night mode come to it next year. But for the most part, if you have a good amount of light, you can get some crazy results. Speaking of night mode, that continues to impress me. Not just the results, but the integration, how easy it is to use, and the fact that you're not really thinking about how to do it. I talked about that way back in my initial iPhone 11 Pro Max review. I realized Apple wasn't first, but in terms of execution, they nailed it. Performance has been great, minus iOS doing iOS 13 things. There really hasn't been any kind of gates or controversies this year. So overall, I would say it's been a good year for not only the iPhone 11, but the Pro and Pro Max. So thus far, I have been extremely happy. So those have been my thoughts 2+ months later on the iPhone 11 Pro Max. If you picked one up, let me know again how it's been for you. Thank you guys so much for watching. This is Jonathan, and I will catch you guys later.